Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of this amazing program, OKEx Africa Talks, brought to you by OKEx Exchange. So it's a program where OKEx used to educate the masses about blockchain and also put them up to date about blockchain and cryptocurrency. You know how we normally do it. It's a very interesting program where we have guests who come to discuss about interesting topics. So today we'll be looking at blockchain application in the banking and finance sector. So there are a lot of discussion going on around the blockchain ecosystem, and when it comes to the banking sector, how is it going to be applied in this sector? Which sector is going to displace the other sector? So these are more that we're going to be having on this show. But before we continue, let me welcome our host for this show, who is Mr. Paul Ezafrukwe, OKEx Team Lead Nigeria. Mr. Paul, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. So nice to be here once again today.
It's a pleasure to having you. Thank you very much. So
thank you so much.
Now, okay. Not wasting much time, we have a lot on this show to discuss. Let me welcome our guest for today's episode. I have with me D. Duncan, who is the BTC King. D. Duncan, you're welcome to OKEx Talks.
Thank you, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing too?
Doing very well. Doing very well. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much. So this program is brought to you by OKEx Exchange, and you can do well to follow OKEx across their social media. You can check them out on Twitter, OKEx Africa, or on Telegram, OKEx Africa, to be able to hook up with them. So we're going to be diving into the discussion properly, but before that, we'll go for a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with the talk.
Stola Joseph Fadubagbe, founder Crypto Masterclass. I've been using OKEx platform since year 2017. Talking about my experience with OKEx Exchange, it has been very fabulous. I can't do a day without opening or trading on the OKEx platform. I encountered different challenges that I was hoping a particular cryptocurrency exchange will be able to solve. For instance, in the area of liquidity, there are some assets that I want to sell, and sometimes the order book may not be robust enough to fill my order. OKEx is highly recommended. It's not about, hey, I want to trade cryptocurrencies. It's about knowing where to trade, knowing where to get robust market.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. In case you're just joining us, it's OKEx Talks brought to you by OKEx Exchange. So for our audience, you know it's going to be an interactive session. So do well to drop your comment and your suggestions on the comment section. So when we get to the time, we'll be able to take those questions and throw them to our guest today with so much experience in this sector. Remember, I'm your anchor for this show, Lee Uchama. So let's get started with the show. So my first question to you, D. Duncan, is what are some of the identified challenges facing the banking and finance sector?
What are some of the challenges? Right now, you're in an economic environment that we've never seen before. What I mean by that is you have a lot of loans that are given out by retail banking that are not receiving the monthly payments from the customers that they originated the loans from, and that's due to COVID. So when you look at risk as a financial institution, you're talking about your whole product suite. Most of it is not giving you the returns that it needs to, and this isn't just happening in one country. This is happening all over the world. So we're talking mortgage payments are not being paid on time. We're talking credit cards not being paid on time. You're talking automobiles, for auto loans are not being paid on time. If you took out a loan for student loans, those are not being paid on time. So the banking community is at a high level of risk right now. And normally, when you have that level of structure of risk implemented in the system, you will see a contraction of available credit during that time. And so it's very prudent that during this time that banks really monitor closely their risk portfolios.
Interesting. Let me get this. We've been able to identify some of the challenges facing this sector. So let's get a blockchain definition from the financial services. What is blockchain in financial services?
You mean how can it be implemented?
Yes. How will you define blockchain when it comes to the financial sector?
Well, when you look at blockchain technology, it's a public ledger, could be private, that acts as a source of truth. And when that is implemented in the financial sector, after compliance and laws, regulatory issues are solved, you're looking at the digital version of the financial system being implemented through blockchain technology. So you're talking about incorporating things like the Ethereum blockchain at the bank level, where you're implementing DeFi protocols, which these things are already been working on through Baseline Protocol and the Ethereum Alliance, which addresses the enterprise level global blockchain need for the use of those technologies. With Baseline alone, you have Ernst & Young, Google, Microsoft, and a lot of different companies. You're also going to see banks use those types of technologies to derive new levels of liquidity. And what is needed most right now in the financial community is revenue, right? Need to be able to generate new levels of revenue because the old model is suffering right now, and there's really no answer with the traditional forms of at a retail bank. We're talking 401ks, IRAs, CDs, savings accounts. None of those are performing well right now, so they need a new way to derive revenue for banking, and I believe blockchain technology will facilitate that.
Interesting. Looking at how things are, what are someone, when I'm into banking, some people are into banking, there are banking platforms. So they are looking on financial institutions. They kind of not really understand the blockchain and how they can be able to apply blockchain in their sector. So how can blockchain be applied in those sectors?
Yeah, I just explained that, but it really comes down to what the core or fundamental problem that I see is lack of knowledge, right? It's hard for anything to be adopted without first understanding what it is. It's hard for regulators to regulate the blockchain fintech world without first taking time to legitimately invest time to understand how it all works before you try to apply laws. And so those are the things that are stopping or hindering the implementation of blockchain technology, is because the financial community has yet to really take it serious enough to invest time to understand how blockchain technology works. And what are the
Okay.
and what are the net tangible benefits for those banks to utilize blockchain technology? They need to understand what the benefits are, or the why would we incorporate this into our business model.
Okay, let's talk about DeFi a bit. Talking about decentralized finance, and you see how the role is playing in this sector. A lot of ways people are now trying to go into DeFi, leaving the traditional banking sector. So, what would you say about DeFi and the banking sector? What's DeFi really doing?
DeFi has the ability to create a corporate version of yield for banks, credit unions, hedge funds, family offices. All of these companies that are institutional based can incorporate decentralized finance and plug in through API to realize yield. The financial system is thirsty for a new level of yield. So DeFi will satisfy that at an institutional level. What stops it from happening right now is one, like I said before, is the understanding of how to implement it, how to regulate it, right? And why would we incorporate it into our business model?
Interesting, nice one from you. So I have other questions coming. I will be throwing very soon, but we'll go for a short break now. When we return, I'll throw more of my questions to you and also look at some of the ones that the audience will be bringing forward. We'll be right back.
Sure. Stola Joseph Fatubadbe, founder Crypto Masterclass. I've been using OKEx platform since year 2017. Talking about my experience with OKEx exchange, it has been very fabulous. I can't do a day without opening or trading on the OKEx platform. I encountered different challenges that I was hoping a particular cryptocurrency exchange will be able to solve. For instance, in the area of liquidity, there are some assets that I want to sell, and sometimes the order book may not be robust enough to fill my order. OKEx is highly recommended. It's not about, hey, I want to trade cryptocurrencies. It's about knowing where to trade, knowing where to get robust market.
Welcome back to the show. It's still OKEx Talks, brought to you by OKEx Exchange. So we've been able to, we are talking about blockchain application in the banking and finance sector, and we have our amazing guest who is joining us to talk about this, Khan. So let me throw these questions to him. So before I go that, if you have questions, our audience, please, if you have questions or any suggestion or questions or comment, please drop it on the comment section. We'll be able to take them when we get to the time. So let me ask you this question, D. You have experience in the finance sector. What are some of the roles you are playing in implementing blockchain in the finance and banking sector?
Right. Well, I'm originally from the United States. I live here in Ghana, in Accra, and we are working with the regulators and the powers that be here to soften or pave a way, an avenue to legalize or incorporate the use of blockchain technologies within the country. And so things are moving, and I'm very thankful for the people that we are connected to here to help push this initiative forward. And as you know, dealing with any government on any continent, things take time. So we're being patient, but also pushing at the same time to help the locals here, the powers that be, to understand the importance of why blockchain technology is so vital. And it helps when you have senior leadership like the Vice President of Ghana to say that Africa needs digital currencies. And when I totally agree with that. So looking forward to, at some point, hopefully meeting with him and having that discussion. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. This question that I have here is blockchain by some is expected to transform the banking industry with its application in cryptos. Others think it will obstruct the banking industry. What's your opinion on this? You know, there are a lot of discussion around this. Some people are skeptical about blockchain and crypto, most especially displacing the not traditional banking sector. What's your opinion on that?
I have to add a disclosure to my response. This is going to be far out for a lot of people, but I have to share it this way. In 2019, I went to Singapore FinTech Festival, and while I was there, I went to the Bank of China's booth. They had an augmented reality Bank of China, literally. You didn't need any goggles or anything. You just stood in front of the television, and they had these controls that you use with your hands. You can order an ATM card. You can set up a new bank account. You can deposit cash, all virtual, right? When you have that type of technology, and which would, we would call it in crypto or blockchain, the metaverse, augmented reality is the metaverse. You can easily implement a DeFi layer into that program to, again, offer new ways beyond CDs, IRAs, 401ks. I don't know what they're called here in Ghana, but those same similar investment vehicles that the consumer would engage in to derive yield for making deposits at a bank. This is what's coming, right? And China has all of this technology already implemented. And so I see this as a model that is going to be duplicated throughout the different regions of the world, and maybe have a different customization to speak to the local dialect and the local need for customization. But this is something that is definitely coming, and very exciting technology nonetheless. So incorporating blockchain technology will also help to reduce risk, help to reduce fraud at the compliance risk level. And also it will expand the reach of the regional banks or retail banks to get into some very hard places that they don't have access to right now. We're talking about in the village regions of Africa, where their footprint is near zero, right? Because you have challenges with identification, KYC compliance, AML. And so with blockchain technology, you can build a profile of a person that may not have their birth certificate, but they may have something else that can be used to establish a viable proof for the strict retail bankers or banks going into more the far regions of the country, like in the farming agricultural sectors or the rural areas of the country. With blockchain technology, it affords the banks to reach those customers and have a new customer base that they didn't have access to before.
If you look at how things are playing out, we're talking about blockchain application in this finance and banking sector. Let's look at what is currently trending in many nations. We talk about the central bank digital currency, CBDC, which we know that Nigeria, we know that Ghana are also looking at it. We know China and even America, they are also looking at this particular thing, CBDC. So do you think, what will you say about CBDC? And also, do you think is a way that the banking sector will embrace blockchain technology?
It depends, because from what I understand, I've been on a few calls with central bankers, and what I find about banks as a whole, they like to build their own, right? They'll build their own models. They want to make sure they own the IP, intellectual property, and they want to be able to control everything, right? So how will CBDCs be implemented? The structure that I've seen is direct to consumer model, which is the central bank will issue the token via some type of form of digital wallet and have visibility on every transaction that flows in and out of that wallet. These are some of the things that I see coming. But the underlying issue that's not being addressed, right, is the fact that a CBDC is only an extension of what is already here. When you're talking about central banks, which is debt-based currencies that are exacerbated, excuse me, with the level of printing currency. So if you have a digital currency like a CBDC, you can print unlimited amounts of cash, which we all know the more cash that is in any financial system, doesn't matter which country, the purchasing power of that currency fails. So a CBDC doesn't solve that issue. And this is why cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is so powerful, is because it's cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum now are deflationary. So this is counter to what is happening with central banks as they print more and more cash to save the economic basis for the country.
When you were answering that, you made mention about the central banks of nations trying to build their own, being in charge, even with the IPs and all the rest of them. Do you think is the best option here for the general public or citizens of nations?
No, I don't. We've never seen this actually come up before in financial history that I'm aware of, where the central bank actually has direct access to the citizens, right? We always had that retail banking layer in between the central bank and the actual community. So it's going to be interesting. I think there needs to be that layer just to, provide a level of privacy. And that's another issue with CBDCs. How are you going to orchestrate and architecturally build privacy into these CBDCs so we don't end up like China, to where you have a social system to where they gauge and track your social media interactions, your spending habits. Do you pay your loans back on time? And all of this stuff is being monitored and aggregated. That data is being aggregated to where you come up with some type of score. And based on that score, you may have access or not access to more funding. So these are some of the bigger concerns I see with the CBDC setup.
Interesting to hear that. Let me look at our payments here. When it comes to payment and remittance, we see what is really happening. So and we know that crypto is trying to bridge that gap. So do you think, and we also see what Ripple is also trying to do in the payment and in the banking sector. So,
Right.
when you are sending money from one country to another, most especially if you're sending from Africa to Asia or another part of the world, there's this time frame that it takes very long. And you see what Ripple is doing in that aspect. Do you think blockchain will help in this aspect when it comes to payment?
It already is. I mean, you're from Nigeria, and Nigeria just happens to be the #1 country for Bitcoin usage outside of the U.S. But I believe that Nigeria uses Bitcoin the way it's supposed to be used. So it's already happening for cross-border payments. But what we're looking at when you mention Ripple is speed and efficiency and cost efficiency. And so I believe down the road, with the financial system, starting at the central bank level, understanding cryptocurrency, understanding blockchain technology, and regulating it as such in a positive way, then yes, it will be a huge benefit, especially here in Africa, when you see the amount of percentages it costs to send money from Nigeria to Ghana or from Ghana to Kenya. It's insane. So you need a system that basically reduce the cost of sending transactions cross-border, and cryptocurrency is definitely the way to go to make that happen.
I still have a few other questions here, but I would like to take questions from the audience so that they will not be left behind. I know some questions are coming up. So we'll go for a short break. When we go for the break, I'll be able to get up those questions to ask you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stola Joseph Fadubagbe, founder Crypto Masterclass. I've been using OKEx platform since year 2017. Talking about my experience with OKEx exchange, it has been very fabulous. I can't do a day without opening or trading on the OKEx platform. I encountered different challenges that I was hoping a particular cryptocurrency exchange will be able to solve. For instance, in the area of liquidity, there are some assets that I want to sell, and sometimes the order book may not be robust enough to fill my order. OKEx is highly recommended. It's not about, hey, I want to trade cryptocurrencies. It's about knowing where to trade, knowing where to get robust market.
Welcome back to the show. In case you're just joining us, is OKEx Talks, brought to you by OKEx Exchange. So we've been discussing a very amazing topic. We've been discussing about blockchain application in the banking and finance sector with our amazing guest, D. Duncan, the BTC King. So this session segment is for audience. So I'll be looking at some of the questions here, and I'll be the audience have asked, and I'll be throwing it to him. So in case you have other questions, this is your time, our audience. This is your time to throw in those questions. I'll be reading them out. So number one question here is from Tarin John. He said, "Do you see African banks adopting blockchain?"
Yes. It's just a matter of time. With the current debt crisis that is looming, with the current inflation globally that is upon us right now, every financial institution will have to do something. And so you see some moves that are happening with Standard Chartered Bank, if you will. They have a crypto blockchain department. Goldman Sachs has the same thing. JP Morgan has the same thing. Bank of America is researching and has been doing so for many years. And so you're going to see an explosion of implementation of this technology. My encouragement to the continent of Africa is, let's not be last to the table. Let's be one of the first countries to take this technology seriously enough, engage with it, even if it comes to having conferences or private conversations, just to create an environment for education. But let's not be last. Let's be one of the first countries or regions outside of the modern world or civilized world, Europe, US, to incorporate and implement this technology.
Yes, is a very good one from you, dear. Very good advice. Because sometimes you see some of the African nations playing a catch up, so they allow the other continent to do the experimenting, and they try to copy from them. So this is the best time. You see the way some of us in the ecosystem, everybody is experimenting around the globe. So nobody will come out with any final thing about blockchain. So everybody is experimenting, and it's a very good one that people around the world, even in Africa, and also participating. That's why we also encourage the government and banking institutions to be able to look that direction earlier, now that it's still at the early stage, so that they will not be left behind. When you start copying from others, there is a problem. They have gone through some of those challenges, and they have found out the perfect way. So they will not be dictating what you do. So another question from Adedayo Michael. He said, what's the fate of blockchain sector without, what's the fate of banking sector without blockchain in years to come?
Well, we've seen this already. If you go back to 2008, 2009, I don't know what happened in Africa during that time, but in America, we had a lot of regional banks that went out of business. So now you only have, when you talk about big national banks, you're down to J.P. Morgan, you're down to J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, right? So you have a contraction. You literally have a contraction of banks that are left in the financial system because of the risk that they took on in the form of loans, and their portfolios were too toxic to make it out of that crisis. So you're going to see a contraction of banking if this happens, where the weaker banks that don't have good balance sheets, that didn't underwrite with a certain level of risk in mind, they're going to have to close their doors.
Oh, I don't think I have any other questions from the audience yet. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead with my own question. So my question here is, what are some of the challenges faced when trying to implement blockchain in the finance sector? So looking at regulations and policies, education, and people having the right knowledge. So what would you say about that?
Yeah, I really think it comes from a lack of knowledge. You know, there's a good book that says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge," right? And a lot of that destruction is fear-based. You know, I've heard even in America, politicians come online on a news channel and say, "I don't understand cryptocurrency, but I know that it's a good thing." That's not going to cut it when you're a regulator, right? You have to take the responsibility, because this is going to be something that really translate over time in your country, or your country will be left behind. That's how important it is. And if your country is left behind, then you're going to be left with the old financial system and all of its challenges and all of its debt, and you won't have a way out for the future, for our future generations. So we have to take this very seriously enough to say, hey, as a regulator, as a bank executive, I am going to start hosting blockchain corporate meetups and have the experts come and teach us about this technology and help us to understand and organize our thoughts around this technology, so that we as the banking and financial community can make the right and proper decision and on how to implement this technology within our financial system, within our architecture as a financial regulated entity.
So talking about education, do you think is the work of the players in the blockchain sector to engage these politicians and regulators to be able to educate them? And do you think when they are being engaged, they will not resist?
I wouldn't have that level of expectation. There's going to be some resistance, because we're dealing the people that are in leadership now. Most of them are come from the baby boomers era, right? To where you have your senior leadership, and they grew up thinking that gold and silver, stocks, bonds, mutual funds are the way to increase your wealth. And so learning a completely new technology at the age of, call it 60 and up, is hard, because this is not a technology that you can be hands off with. You really have to understand it at a fundamental basis, and it takes time to do that. And it's a 50-50, I believe, responsibility. The regulators and the financial executives at these banks and financial institutions have to take some responsibility to say, we're going to take this serious and we're listening. And then it's our responsibility to have the material and have the information that they need so that we can supply and educate them properly and create a win-win environment, not for us, but for the country.
So I want to get, some people who may be joining us may not be that learned also to that maybe banking so much involved in the banking sector. So I would like to know your thoughts. An ordinary citizen who is listening to us now, an ordinary individual who is not into our finance, our banking sector. Well, how are all these things that we've been able to discuss here going to affect the person? So how is the person going to benefit from it? Opportunities, job opportunities, and all the rest of them.
So it's two things, right? The first thing is we have to think from a defensive mentality as a citizen. What am I talking about? The more money that these central banks print, the less purchasing power as an individual we have. So eggs, I'll give you an example. Eggs in 2019 was $2, $2 to $3. Now those same eggs are $6. What happened? Inflation, purchasing power, more printing of the US dollar. And it's the same thing everywhere in the world, right? So we have to think from a defensive perspective, how do I protect my purchasing power? And that is done by investing accurately in cryptocurrencies, right?
Okay, thank you very much for that. I will go for a short break. I know it's like I'll be bringing in our host. It's like he has some questions for you, so which is ready. So when we go for a short break, when we return, we'll be able to bring him on board. So he will ask some questions, and before we draw, I'll ask my last question that I still have here. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Stola Joseph Fadubadbe, founder Crypto Masterclass. I've been using OKEx platform since year 2017. Talking about my experience with OKEx exchange, it has been very fabulous. I can't do a day without opening or trading on the OKEx platform. I encountered different challenges that I was hoping a particular cryptocurrency exchange will be able to solve. For instance, in the area of liquidity, there are some assets that I want to sell, and sometimes the order book may not be robust enough to fill my order. OKEx is highly recommended. It's not about, hey, I want to trade cryptocurrencies. It's about knowing where to trade, knowing where to get robust market.
Welcome back to the show. In case you're just joining us, it's OKEx Talks. And so we are talking about blockchain application in the banking and finance sector with our amazing guest, D. Duncan, the BTC King. So right about now, I'll be bringing up our host in the person of Mr. Paul Ezafrukwe, OKEx Team Lead, Nigeria. Mr. Paul.
Thank you so much, Lee. And thank you so much to D. Duncan. D. Duncan has been in this space, and we've learned quite a lot from him. We know ourselves from Ghana, and thank God D. Duncan is back to the roots, back to Ghana. D. Duncan, so happy to see that you're in Ghana now. Thank you so much for coming. To this program, and I just have one question for you. That question is simple. Truth be told, a lot of sectors are going to be disrupted by blockchain technology, no doubt. Now, what advice would you give people who want to run banks? Because so far so good, we've barely seen disruption in the banking sector, though I know it's coming, based thoroughly on the blockchain. What advice would you give persons, young people, disruptors, blockchain engineers, enthusiasts who would want to build a project on the blockchain to disrupt existing financial services? What would you tell them? What would they do that they will get it right?
Wow, this is a heavy question. what I see, and the thing that really makes me tick is the fact of we go the way of building these amazing systems that are supposed to be decentralized at every level of architectural structure. Yet, to gain approval from the regulators, we capitulate to KYC and AML, knowing good and well KYC and AML does not work in emerging markets. So if you're going to design anything as an engineer and call it decentralized, you have to remove the fear of the regulators and build it the way that it's supposed to be built, which is completely decentralized, that no system, no authority, nothing can shut it off.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
I would add to that. This is the reason why crypto adoption in Africa is held hostage. Let me say this one more time. If you look at a map, I know I'm gonna get in trouble, but I don't care. If you look at a map of all of the melanated dark countries, South Africa, Africa, the Caribbean, and you look at the restriction levels by nations, most of those countries are black.
I get you.
Why is that? It's because, and these are the countries that are supposed to need cryptocurrency and access the most. If you're talking about banking the unbanked, you cannot do it using modernized, the current KYC and AML architecture as is. It does not work in emerging markets. So the answer to that is to build decentralized systems that nobody can turn off so people can engage in the space.
D-Duncan, thank you so much. I agree with you 100%, especially in emerging markets like Africa, where we don't have infrastructures. We don't have both financial infrastructures, physical infrastructures, and the like. Another question, I think I just thought about it. I think I need to ask you. This is my last question to you, is you've been in Ghana for some time, and you've seen the weaknesses of the weaknesses we have in our systems in Africa. If you were to suggest two places where blockchain is needed the most and why it is needed the most in Africa, which ones would you talk about?
Identification registration. Right.
One, identification registration.
And free access to cryptocurrency so that everybody can have access and buy it at just like we use Momo, right? It needs to be that level of acceptance throughout the region.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We had not discussed before this meeting, and at I think 2 meetings before now, I spoke about if Africa is able, because right now across the entire length and breadth of Africa, we have insecurity problems. And the easiest way to solve that insecurity problem is to have the right infrastructure for identification registration, which we don't have. And unfortunately, or rather, unfortunately, like in a place like Nigeria, a lot of money has been spent before now to try to do that. But every time it's just bungled. Somebody will come and tell us that system did not work. We have to do something else. This system did not work. And as somebody, for we in OKEx here, we see a lot of problem where some service providers will not accept a particular identification registration to be able to allow you give us access to their APIs. And we're like, why? They say no, we don't trust this. But unfortunately, that particular identification registration was provided by the same government. So you now keep wondering, what's the problem? Some will tell you driver's license and passport. Some will tell you, no, we don't accept the national ID card. So it's quite it calls for a lot of retrospection, if I may say something like that.
I'm gonna share it one more time. The current AML and KYC compliance list of countries that are banned from having access to crypto. There's a reason for that. So no, they're not going to accept your technology. I'm just being honest. I'm just being very honest. This is why I say, if you're going to build something to give access to crypto or any type of blockchain solution, make it decentralized so you don't have those headaches.
Away from the central authorities.
Yes. Make a lot of noise, like y'all doing, like Nigeria since SARS. Make a lot of noise with transactions, right? So much so, 50 billion a month. Make a lot of noise. See, the thing that people don't understand in this space, in our space, the more money that's going through the system, the more noisy it gets, right?
Yeah.
Until they hear us. Right? So continue to use cryptocurrency until it get to $1 trillion worth of volume. Oh, everybody, how can we help? That's how it works. Regulators understand numbers. They understand numbers, right? When you talk about the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, what is the market cap of the series? The stock exchange? Trillions of dollars. Before this year, we were sitting in the billions. They have limited capacity to regulate and give attention to certain things, right? It's a government. It's not a private organization. So they have to allocate most of their resources to where most of the money is being made, which is the stock market. This is the only year that crypto is in the forefront of most regulators. Why? Cryptocurrency went $2 trillion market cap.
Yeah.
That is why. That is why. Without that market cap, you still wouldn't get any attention from any regulator. So make a lot of noise.
Make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more people we can onboard, the more people in this region of the world that we can onboard and successfully teach them how to use cryptocurrency, that volume will continue to uptick, and it will get noisier and noisier and noisier until the regulators say, hey, how can we interact with each other to create a safe environment for this stuff? That's what's happening in America right now.
Thank you so much. You've answered my question. I think I'll leave it at that for today.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. Paul, you can go ahead to explain more about OKEx and your concluding remarks.
Okay, thank you so much. So guys, on OKEx, we have, OKEx is a very big platform, it's an international platform. We have more than 20 million traders on OKEx. We have the basic trading, spot and simple options. We have the margin trading, margin perpetual futures and options, and it's quite easy to trade on OKEx. You just come to get your OKEx account, just get started, visit the website, register, verify your identity, and you immediately go to buy crypto, to buy Bitcoin with your credit card, your Apple Pay or bank transfer. For Nigeria, We currently don't have bank transfer, but you can go to the P2P platform and buy on a decentralized level with anybody of your choice, and you get your money into your bank or you send money to the person. But we have an escrow function there. We also have our N loan and jumpstart. You can learn about crypto totally on the platform. Once you go to the platform, you click on learn. Even if you're a novice, whatever you need is there. We currently have our OKEx chain, and the OKEx chain is so beautiful. We just clocked over $2 billion total value locked on OKEx chain. We have our OKEx wallet. The first time I personally used the wallet, it blew my mind because it's much advanced than MetaMask. You know, on MetaMask you have to go to each chain to add up the chain, but on OKEx it comes preloaded, so you can and the wallet is yours, your private keys, your money. So we have our rewards, we have referral bonuses. You can call me up or call one of our CS if you want more referral, up to 60% referral bonus. We have for affiliate bonuses. We have Block Dream Ventures for if you want to build anything and you require funding, we have that. So we have so much for you. Just come, go to the platform OKEx, www.okex.com, and start your crypto journey. Anything you need concerning Nigeria, you want to build $1 million enterprise, 500,000, 50,000, anything you need, just go there, chat with the customer care, and we'll do your bidding. Thank you so much. Thank you, D. Duncan. We are so happy that you came. We love what you're doing in Africa. We see what you're doing in Ghana, and we're so happy with you. So thank you so much. Thank you, Lee, and thank you everyone that came.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Ezaflikwe, OKEx team lead Nigeria, for those amazing words from you and the explanation about OKEx. You've heard it all. So let me get Didokan, let me get your closing remarks.
I sacrificed a lot to be living here in Ghana, and it's okay. I'm willing to make that sacrifice because I believe that Africa is the new frontier for digitization, and I believe that Africa will lead the world in technology. My encouragement to all of our community and listeners and beyond our community, whoever watches this, my encouragement to all of you here in Africa is to build and own vertically integrated everything that is concerned with blockchain technology. The last thing that we need to see on the continent of Africa is having foreigners come to the borders of Africa and build all of these technologies for us and not owning any of it. This cannot happen. So calling on all developers and IT experts, let's figure it out, right? Let's figure out how to build these systems and own these systems as Africans. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Like what you said is one of the things that is motivating us over here at CNETv and Coin News Extra, because Chimamanda will say dangers of a single story. So that's why we are here, to write our stories by ourselves. You just imagine when you allow me to write your story, I'm going to write it the way I want it. But when you write your story, you're going to be writing a balanced story. And this year we draw the curtain on today's episode of OKEx Talks. Thank you very much. And CNETv and Coin News Extra is a partner to OKEx Talk Show. Thank you very much. I really appreciate our audience who took our time to join us today. You know how we do it. We'll be coming your way next week, Saturday, 8 p.m. West African time, with another interesting topic. Thank you very much, D. Duncan, for sparing time to joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, so our dear host. Thank you. Okay, we'll be coming your way. Bye for now.
Bye.